arrive on the scene. There were some explosions going on here because of all the chemicals inside. They are checking floor by floor right now. Most recently, we have not heard any more of that popping, any more of the explosions going on in that building. They seem to have it under control, but they are checking also the adjacent buildings. It appears that the building that was on fire there on the top happens to be one of the older buildings. Right next door, you can see some of the newer facilities that don't appear to have been damaged at all, although firefighters are going through each and every one of the buildings and checking. And there's also some other buildings just real close by that are still under construction. Also, those do not appear to have sustained much damage. It appears that, if anything, some of the older buildings, as we were driving around the campus, we could see some damage, and a lot of the...
There you are, Andrew, in the second row there. And Bob Nash, Undersecretary at USDA, Senator Bill Bradley of New Jersey, and Senator Joe Lieberman of Connecticut, Senator Don Riegel of Michigan, Representative Paul Kanjorski of Pennsylvania, Representative Floyd Flake of New York, Representative...
We're going to go ahead and monitor that, Carla. I think they have turned down the volume on the Vice President, and we believe our microphones are back on. We're going to monitor the situation in Washington. When the President begins speaking about Southern California, we'll go immediately back to him live.
Now, we want to give you a more thorough location right now. This is in Reseda, and we are watching a vehicle fire, and apparently it does look like it is a result of one of those ruptured oil lines or gas lines that we have been referring to all morning long. This is another good reason not to drive on any of the streets. Again, today is a holiday for most people. You can stay home. Obviously, if you have a problem in your home where it is not habitable, you can call the American Red Cross, but stay off the roads right now because they're trying to deal with emergencies such as this that we're seeing live in Reseda.
We've seen so far reports of a total of 50 different fires burning around Southern California, most of them centered in the northern part of the San Fernando Valley, that portion where this morning's earthquake was epicentered, most of them apparently a result of ruptured gas and oil lines. And this apparently just one example, because we're seeing the wall of flames progressing away from that vehicle. It doesn't look like this started out to be an accident. It looks like it started to be some sort of ruptured line, hence the flames that have moved away from the scene and the flames that are coming up from underground. But imagine this, repeated 50 times.
Northridge,
And it's happening in Northridge, and it's happening in Sylmar. Sylmar also the area where we saw that derailed train. And this picture from Studio City this morning, where a man's home, his house of 30 years, was destroyed.
I mean, it's unbelievable to see this, you know, that car just teetering over what was once his home. Let's see if Vicki Vargas is there. Vicki? Apparently she's not, but earlier she explained how, you know, this house just crumbled from its foundation.
And this in Studio...
Back in the News Center, Mark Jones and Mark Mullen recapping the 6.6 quake that hit Southern California this morning, the Southland quake. And we're going to go back to Soledad O'Brien now with a USGS report from Menlo Park.
That's right. I'm with David Oppenheimer. He's with the USGS. He's a seismologist. First, we want to clear up any fears about this earthquake that was felt in the East Bay and reported also in Napa. That happened around 6:45 this morning. David, what can you tell us about that quake?
The earthquake occurred on the Green Valley Fault, sort of midway between Clear Lake and Lake Berryessa. As far as we understand, it's completely unrelated to any seismicity in Southern California.
So there's no relation whatsoever. Let's talk about Southern California. You seem surprised a little bit. I know you're not an engineer, but you seem surprised by the damage, the extent of the damage of the pictures we've been seeing. Why is that?
Well, this earthquake occurred so close to the San Fernando earthquake in 1971 that obviously there were some lessons learned from that earthquake, and they've rebuilt, and it points out that we still have some ways to go in terms of our engineering. I don't know the specifics of why these freeways collapsed, but it's disconcerting to see that they're still not withstanding similar-sized earthquakes built after 1971.
People living near L.A., outside of L.A., they can expect to feel aftershocks all day, is that correct?
They can expect to feel aftershocks for weeks. There's a 34% probability that this earthquake could be followed by an earthquake of about 5.5 and greater. And we've had probably about 30 earthquakes greater than magnitude 3.5 already, and magnitude 4.7 I think was the largest one that I've seen. So people are going to be feeling aftershocks for several weeks.
Okay, thanks very much, David. Okay, we're going to follow that from here. Back to you, Mark.
Okay, thanks very much. Ever since 4:31 this morning when this earthquake hit, we have been throwing a lot of information and a lot of pictures your way. So what we do is try and give you some perspective, update you every 15 minutes and sort of give you sort of a broad overview just so you can keep everything in mind as you follow this story along with us. In total right now, there are 5 confirmed deaths, including 1 Los Angeles police officer. Also, a major fire broke out at the Cal State University Northridge campus. That worried a lot of people because apparently that houses radioactive material, and therefore the entire area has been evacuated.
At least 8 aftershocks measuring 4.0 or stronger have hit, as many as 30, as a matter of fact. You just heard somebody say. Quake experts say strong aftershocks will continue for at least the next 72 hours. And the Los Angeles Police headquarters has been evacuated because of flooding. Several freeways are shut down, including Highway 14, the main route leading to the Southland, and also the Santa Monica Freeway and Highway 118, all with major structural damage. At least one of those was retrofitted after the 1971 earthquake, but it still went down this morning.
3 major freeway collapses to talk about. It is almost impossible to try and determine how many fires have broken out in greater Los Angeles. Authorities right now are reporting at least 50 fires, but basically it's a crapshoot right now because we just don't know. And just to give you sort of an idea, as you look at this picture from KNBC television, it is so difficult with so many fires breaking out all over. Firefighters can't be everywhere. So we are seeing many situations such as this one that you're watching right now on television.
That's a taped picture there, but there are fires literally. I don't know how they can say 50 fires. We've seen what appears to be hundreds, including fires where people were going to work this morning, grocery stores, shopping center damage, homes, entire homes that have gone off hills, buildings, apartment buildings that have collapsed, 4-story buildings that have gone down. This is a live picture from an area. It looks like that may be an apartment complex.
There's all kinds of unconfirmed reports of deaths this morning. At one point we heard there were 50 deaths. We just heard another report that possibly there are 10 deaths additionally relating to a train accident, but we have no way to confirm that at this time. What we do know about a train is that authorities in Southern California are reporting that a Southern Pacific Railroad car, a 64-car train carrying hazardous material derailed. We saw pictures of that earlier, but at least the good news in that is there were no immediate reports of leaks or injuries.
So at this point, again, it's 5 confirmed deaths. Of course, we expect that to go higher later in the day.
One other area of concern is around the town of Fillmore, which was evacuated earlier. It's a little small town, but known to people in the Southland because there was a dam there. And upon initial survey, they thought that there may have been some stress on the dam, so just as a precaution, the entire town of Fillmore, that little town and the adjoining area, was evacuated as engineers move in to try and examine the damage.
We mentioned, as you said, 5 deaths, hundreds of injuries, perhaps major structure damage to the highways in Southern California. There's some power outages, too, along the West Coast because of this. Both Portland and Seattle, Washington, lost power. What was it, 10,000 people?
10,000 people in Portland, Oregon, and as many as 30,000 people in Seattle before power officials there were able to reroute and restore power, probably within about 30 minutes of Seattle. But it just shows you at the magnitude of this. This power was either originated or was routed through Los Angeles.
55,000 homes in Culver City are without telephone service at this point. And by the way, Pac Bell is saying, please do not try to call your friends and relatives in Southern California. If you do, you'll probably get a message saying that the lines are busy. But at this point, they're saying leave the lines free for officials in Southern California. They need them to get to the hospitals and to... we're going to go now live to Washington, D.C. The president may be talking about the quake this morning along with the economic recovery package.
For reminding us all